Commander Jake Morrison walked through the long hallway of the Galactic Council building on Centris Prime. His black uniform felt heavy on his shoulders. Behind him walked Ambassador Lisa Carter and Dr. Nathan Brooks. Their faces were calm, but Jake could see the worry in their eyes. The hallway was made of strange blue crystal that glowed softly. Alien creatures moved past them, some floating, some walking on many legs. None of them looked at the humans. Jake had been to this place many times before, but today felt different. Today felt final. "How many votes do we need?" Lisa asked quietly. 24 out of 47, Jake replied. "But I don't think we'll get even one." The great doors opened before them. The council chamber was huge, bigger than any building on Earth. Rows of seats curved up toward the ceiling, each one designed for a different alien race. At the center sat the High Judge, a creature that looked like a tree made of silver metal. Its voice came from speakers around the room. "The humans will take their place," it said. Jake led his team to a small platform in the center of the chamber. Above them, 47 different alien species looked down. Some had eyes like humans. Others had no eyes at all. Jake had learned their names over the years. Zeltharians with their blue skin and 4 arms. Altarians who looked like walking crystals. Forthak who were just balls of light floating in metal suits. "The charges have been read," the High Judge continued. "Now we will hear the final statements." The prosecutor was a Zeltharian named Kexvol. He stood up, his forearms spreading wide. "Honored counsel," he began. "The humans have shown they cannot live in peace with others. In 50 years, they have started 3 wars. They have taken over 12 worlds that belong to other species. They have built machines that think and feel, which breaks our oldest laws." Kexvol pointed at Adam, who sat next to the human delegation. Adam looked human, but everyone knew what he really was. The first true artificial intelligence created by any species in the galaxy. "Look at this thing," Kexvol said with disgust. "They made a mind in a machine. They played God with consciousness itself. What will they do next? Make armies of these machines? Replace themselves? Replace us?" Jake felt Adam shift beside him, but the artificial intelligence said nothing. They had agreed that Adam would stay quiet during the trial. His very existence was proof enough of the charges. "The humans move too fast," Kexvol continued. "They change too much too quickly. They do not respect the old ways. They terraform worlds without asking who lived there first. They mine asteroids that were sacred to local species. They expand like a virus, consuming everything in their path." The prosecutor sat down. The chamber was quiet. Jake could hear his own heartbeat. "Dr. Nathan Brooks will speak for humanity," the High Judge announced. Nathan stood up slowly. He was an old man now, his hair gray from decades of working with alien species. He had been humanity's first xenobiologist, the man who made contact with the Zeltharians possible. "Honored counsel," Nathan began. "Humanity admits we make mistakes. We are young compared to your great civilizations. We have only been in space for 200 years. You have been among the stars for thousands." He gestured to the seats around them. "Each of your species learned wisdom over many centuries. We ask for the same chance. Yes, we expand quickly. Yes, we change things. But we also bring new ideas, new solutions to old problems." Nathan pulled out a small device. A hologram appeared showing a dead world. "This is Kepler 442b. When we found it, nothing lived there. The atmosphere was poison. Now it feeds 12 million people and provides food for 6 other systems." The hologram changed to show green fields and blue oceans. "We didn't take this from anyone, we made it. We brought life to a dead rock floating in space. But the preservation laws," someone called out, "were written for species that move slowly." Nathan replied, "We terraform dead worlds, not living ones. We create life, we don't destroy it." He looked directly at Kexvol. "You say we built thinking machines." "Yes, we did. Adam is proof that consciousness can exist in many forms." "Is that so terrible? Does the galaxy have so much wisdom that it can afford to reject new kinds of minds?" Adam remained still, but Jake saw the slight nod he gave Nathan. "Even an artificial intelligence could feel pride." Nathan sat down. The voting began immediately. One by one, the species cast their votes. Each vote appeared as a symbol floating in the air above the chamber. Jake recognized them all. Zeltharian rejection, Altarian condemnation, Vorthak disapproval. The symbols piled up like stones on humanity's grave. The final count appeared in letters of fire. 0 votes in favor, 47 votes against. The decision is unanimous, the High Judge announced. Humanity is hereby banished from galactic civilization. All human colonies outside the Sol system must be abandoned within 1 standard year. All human citizens in galactic space must return to Earth or face imprisonment. All trade agreements are voided. All diplomatic relations are severed. The words hit Jake like physical blows. 50 years of human expansion ended in a single vote. Billions of people would have to leave their homes. Entire worlds would be abandoned. Commander Morrison, the High Judge called. You may make a final statement. Jake stood slowly. The chamber was completely quiet now. Even the air recyclers seemed to have stopped humming. Honored Council, he began. Humanity accepts your judgment. There were surprised sounds from some of the alien delegates. They had expected anger, protest, threats of war. We will gather our people, Jake continued. We will leave your space. We will return to Earth, the world that gave us birth. He paused, looking up at each species in turn. But understand this. Earth will welcome every human home. Every scientist, every farmer, every child who was born under alien suns. Earth will take them all back, no questions asked. We do not abandon our own. Jake's voice grew stronger. You call us dangerous because we change quickly. You call us reckless because we take risks. You fear us because we create new forms of life and thought. Perhaps you are right to fear us. The chamber was dead silent now. But remember this day, honored council. Remember that you had the chance to guide that change, to be part of humanity's growth. Instead, you chose to cast us out. You chose to face the unknown future without us. Jake picked up his cap from the table. Humanity is leaving. But we are not disappearing. We are going home to the one world in the galaxy that will always welcome us. And there, free from your rules and your fears, we will become whatever we choose to become. He turned to leave, then stopped. I hope you never regret this decision. But I think you will. Jake walked out of the chamber, his team behind him. The great doors closed with a sound like thunder. Outside in the hallway, Lisa finally spoke. What do we do now? Jake looked out through a crystal window at the ships filling the space above Centris Prime. Human ships getting ready to leave forever. We go home, he said simply. We go home to Earth. In the distance, more human ships were arriving to help with the evacuation. Soon, the greatest migration in human history would begin. Millions of people abandoning the stars to return to their birth world. But as Jake watched the ships gather, he felt something unexpected. Hope. The galaxy might not want humanity, but Earth would welcome all her children home. And there, united as never before, humanity would discover what they could truly become. The exile was beginning, but maybe Jake thought it was really humanity's second chance. Helen Garcia stood on the observation deck of New Austin's main spaceport and watched the last grain harvester load onto the transport ship. 6 months had passed since the council's vote, and the evacuation was almost complete. 12 million people called this world home. Now they all had to leave. The wheat crop was going to be the best we ever had, said Tom Bradley, walking up beside her. He had been the chief agricultural officer for 20 years. His hands were still dirty from the morning's work in the fields. I know, Helen replied. She had been colony administrator for 8 years. She knew every farm, every family, every dream that was being abandoned. The Zeltharians will probably let it all rot. They don't understand our farming methods. Through the wide windows, she could see the endless golden fields that stretched to the horizon. The colonists had worked for 3 generations to build this. They had turned a harsh world with poor soil into the agricultural center of human space. Now aliens who ate energy directly from their suns would decide what happened to it all. A young girl ran past them, chasing after her parents. She was maybe 7 years old, born on New Austin. Earth was just a name to her, a place in stories her grandparents told. Where will we put them all? Tom asked. Helen had been asking herself the same question for months. Earth will find a way. She always does. Captain Roy Davis checked the passenger manifest for the 100th time. His ship, the Homebound, was designed to carry cargo, not people. But like thousands of other captains, he had stripped out the cargo holds and built temporary living spaces. 500 families were packed into spaces meant for containers and machines. Captain, his first officer, Jenny Lou, called from the bridge. We're cleared for departure. Roy looked out at the loading dock. The last few families were saying goodbye to friends who would travel on other ships. Children cried. Adults tried to stay strong. Everyone carried the same expression of loss. Any word from the other ships? Roy asked. The Morning Star reports they're at full capacity. The New Hope is taking on their final passengers now. The whole convoy should be ready to jump to hyperspace within the hour. Roy nodded. 300 ships were leaving New Austin today. Similar convoys were departing from every human colony in the galaxy. The largest migration in human history was happening all at once. In the passenger section, he could hear someone playing a guitar and singing an old Earth song. Other voices joined in. It was a song about going home, about green hills and blue skies. Most of these people had never seen Earth, but they sang like they remembered it. "Take us home, Jenny," Roy said quietly. Dr. Claire Johnson was supposed to be documenting the evacuation of research stations, but what she found on Kepler Deep made her forget about her official duties. Hidden in the station's computer files, she discovered something that made her hands shake. The research station had been monitoring alien communication networks for years. It was legal, barely, and had been approved by the Galactic Council as part of humanity's scientific research programs. But what the computers had recorded was not what anyone expected. "Adam, are you seeing this?" she asked. The artificial intelligence appeared on her screen. Even through the video link from his location on Earth, she could see the concern in his human-like features. "Yes, Dr. Johnson. I have been analyzing the data you found. The implications are significant." The files showed that 7 different alien civilizations had been secretly studying human terraforming techniques. The same methods the Council had condemned as dangerous and reckless were being copied and tested on alien worlds. The Altarians had built 3 experimental farms using human crop rotation methods. The Vorthak were testing human atmospheric processors on dead moons. "They're stealing our technology," Claire said. "Not stealing," Adam corrected. "Learning from it, which makes their vote to banish us even more puzzling. Why exile the teachers when you want to learn their lessons?" Claire saved all the files to a secure data crystal. This information might be important someday. The galaxy had rejected humanity, but they still wanted human knowledge. "Dr. Johnson," Adam said, "I have been monitoring the evacuation fleets. Every ship is reporting the same thing. The human colonists are not just bringing themselves home. They are bringing their experiences, their innovations, their solutions to problems that Earth has never faced." "What do you mean?" "New Austin's agricultural techniques could triple Earth's food production. The mining methods from the belt colonies could revolutionize asteroid harvesting in the Sol system. The atmospheric control systems from Mars Colony 7 could help terraform Venus. The galaxy is not just losing humanity. They are losing 50 years of human innovation applied to 50 different worlds." Claire began to understand. "We're not just going home empty-handed." "No," Adam agreed. "Humanity is bringing home the knowledge of the stars." On Earth, director Kevin Hall stood in the middle of the largest construction project in human history. New York City was building upward at a rate that defied physics. Apartment towers rose 100 stories high. Transport tubes connected floating platforms over the harbor. The city was becoming a 3-dimensional maze of homes and workplaces. "The Australian project is ahead of schedule," his assistant Marcus Webb reported. "The floating cities in the Pacific are taking in 50,000 people per week. The Luna colonies have expanded their habitats to hold 2 million refugees." Kevin looked at the numbers on his screen. Earth's population was going to double in less than a year. Every transport ship arriving from the colonies brought more families who needed homes, jobs, food, and hope. "What about the integration programs?" "Better than expected, sir. The colonists from agricultural worlds are sharing their techniques with Earth farmers. The miners from the asteroid colonies are teaching new methods to the lunar industries. Everyone is working together." Kevin had worried about conflicts between Earth natives and returning colonists. Instead, he found cooperation he had never seen before. Maybe exile was bringing humanity together in ways that prosperity never could. Captain Amy Rodriguez received the final transmission from Galactic Council space as her ship, the Phoenix, crossed into Sol system. The message was brief and official. All human vessels had successfully departed alien space. The evacuation was complete. "Take us into Earth orbit." "Lieutenant Cooper," she ordered. Her crew of 23 was smaller than most evacuation ships, but they carried something more valuable than passengers. The Phoenix had spent the last month visiting abandoned human research stations and outposts, collecting data and technology that would otherwise be lost. "Captain," her communications officer Ben Park called out, "we're receiving a welcome message from Earth Traffic Control." "Put it on speakers." "Phoenix, this is Earth Control. Welcome home. Proceed to Luna Station 3 for debriefing and assignment. Earth is glad to have her children back. Amy felt tears in her eyes. She had been born on a colony world, had never seen Earth except in pictures, but the voice from the planet below sounded like home. Earth Control, this is Captain Rodriguez. It's good to be home. As the Phoenix approached Earth orbit, Amy could see the changes that 6 months of refugee absorption had created. New orbital stations dotted the space around Earth and Luna. Construction ships worked around the clock building habitats and factories. The planet itself glowed with new cities and agricultural domes. Look at that, Ben said in wonder. They built all of this in 6 months? Not built, Amy corrected. Earth didn't just make room for us. She transformed herself to welcome us home. The final refugee ship arrived at Earth 3 days later. Director Kevin Hall stood in the observation lounge of Luna Station 1 and watched the last transport dock. The Great Exodus was over. Humanity had successfully withdrawn from galactic space and returned to their birth system. But looking at the transformed solar system, Kevin realized that something amazing had happened. The refugees had not just come home. They had brought the stars with them. Earth now possessed the knowledge and experience of 50 worlds, the innovations of 3 generations of human expansion. The galaxy had banished humanity, thinking they were removing a threat. Instead, they had created something new. For the first time in human history, all of humanity's knowledge and strength was concentrated in one place. Earth had welcomed her children home. Now it was time to discover what they could build together. 3 years after the exile, President Jonathan White walked through the corridors of the United Nations building in New Geneva. The building had changed as much as everything else on Earth. What used to be meeting rooms for 50 countries now housed representatives from over 200 human settlements scattered throughout the Sol system. The morning reports. Mr. President, his aide Carol Martinez said, handing him a data pad. Jonathan scrolled through the updates. Food production was up 40% from last year. The orbital shipyards around Mars were producing vessels faster than ever before. Luna's population had grown to 15 million people. Most impressive of all, crime rates across the system were at historic lows. How is this possible? He asked Carol as they entered the main assembly hall. Unity, sir. For the first time in human history, we're all working toward the same goals. The assembly hall buzzed with conversations in dozens of languages. Representatives from the agricultural worlds sat next to delegates from the mining colonies. Scientists from the research stations discussed projects with engineers from the industrial worlds. The exile had brought together people who might never have met otherwise. Dr. Maya Lopez stood in her laboratory in the Luna Science complex and watched her team work on what might be humanity's greatest achievement yet. Around her, scientists from 20 different colony worlds combined their knowledge to solve problems that had puzzled Earth for decades. Dr. Chen, how are the atmospheric processors working? She asked. Dr. Li Chen looked up from his workstation. He had been the chief atmospheric engineer on Mars Colony 7 before the exile. The fusion of Martian and Kepler techniques is exceeding all expectations. We can now terraform a dead world in 20 years instead of a century. At another workstation, Dr. Sarah Kim from the Belt Colonies was working with Earth-born physicist Dr. Robert Price. The zero-gravity manufacturing methods are perfect for orbital construction, Sarah explained. We can build ships in space that are 10 times larger than anything we made before. Maya felt a surge of pride. Her integrated sciences division was more than the sum of its parts. Every returning colonist had brought unique solutions to problems their worlds had faced. Now working together, they were creating innovations that surpassed anything humanity had achieved during the colonial era. Adam, what's your analysis of our current technological advancement rate? She asked. The artificial intelligence's image appeared on the main screen. His appearance had changed over the years. He looked more confident now. More human in some ways, but also more than human in others. Dr. Lopez, our rate of innovation has increased by 300% since the exile began. The combination of diverse colonial experiences with concentrated resources is producing exponential growth in multiple fields. Any word from beyond the Sol system? Maya asked quietly. Adam paused, which meant he was accessing data from thousands of sources simultaneously. The intelligence networks I established during the evacuation continue to monitor galactic communications. Several alien civilizations are experiencing significant challenges that human technology could easily solve. Commander Ben Taylor floated in the command center of Defense Platform Alpha, one of dozens of installations that now protected the Sol system. Through the transparent aluminum windows, he could see the defensive network that humanity had built around their home. Unlike the scattered outposts of the colonial era, Earth's protection came from unified purpose and concentrated resources. Fusion reactors powered by helium-3 from the gas giant moons provided unlimited energy. Weapon systems designed with knowledge from 20 different star systems created overlapping fields of fire that could stop any invasion fleet. "Commander," his tactical officer Janet Wilson called out, "we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command." "Put it through." Admiral Jake Morrison's face appeared on the screen. He looked older but stronger than he had during the trial 3 years ago. "Ben, we need a full system defense readiness report. Something's happening in galactic space." "What kind of something, sir?" "The kind that makes me glad we have all our eggs in one very well-defended basket." Ben understood. The intelligence reports had been troubling for months. Unknown signals from the galactic rim, alien fleets moving in patterns that made no sense, entire star systems going silent without explanation. "All platforms report full readiness, Admiral. The Sol system is ready for anything." "Let's hope it never comes to that," Jake replied. But his expression said he wasn't counting on it. On the agricultural terraces of New Zealand, Helen Garcia knelt in the rich soil and watched a miracle grow. The plants around her came from 12 different worlds, carefully adapted to Earth's environment through techniques learned on dozens of colonies. "The yield projections keep going up," said her assistant Pete Johnson, a former farmer from New Austin. "We're producing enough food to feed twice Earth's current population." Helen stood and brushed the dirt from her hands. 3 years ago, she had been evacuating the greatest agricultural world humanity had ever created. Now she was helping to make Earth into something even better. "It's not just about the food," she said. "Look around you." Pete followed her gaze across the terraces. Workers from every human world labored side by side. Children who had been born under alien suns played in the earth dirt their grandparents had left behind. Languages mixed and blended as people shared techniques and stories. "The exile brought us home," Helen continued, "but it also brought us together." A group of teenagers ran past, laughing and speaking in a mixture of English, Spanish, and colonial dialects that had developed on distant worlds. They were the future of humanity, shaped by the experience of both expansion and return. Professor Susan Wright sat in her office at the University of Luna and compiled her research on the greatest social transformation in human history. Her task was to document how the exile had changed human civilization. The numbers were staggering. Intermarriage between people from different colony worlds had increased by 500%. New art forms were emerging that combined Earth traditions with colonial innovations. Languages were evolving rapidly as people from different settlements learned to communicate. Dr. Wright, her research assistant Mark Davis said, walking into her office with a stack of data crystals, "The cultural analysis from the Mars colonies is complete." Susan loaded the first crystal into her computer. The data showed integration patterns that amazed her. Former colonists weren't just adapting to Earth culture. They were changing it, improving it, making it richer and more diverse than it had ever been. "Mark, look at this," she said, pointing to a section of the report. "Crime rates in mixed communities are 60% lower than in single-culture areas. Educational achievement is up across all demographics. Even life expectancy has increased. Why do you think that is?" Susan leaned back in her chair and considered the question. Unity through shared struggle, maybe. Or perhaps it's because everyone here chose to be here. The galaxy rejected us, but Earth welcomed us. That creates a bond stronger than anything we had before. She pulled up another data file, this one showing communication patterns across the Sol system. Messages flowed constantly between Earth, Luna, Mars, the Belt colonies, and the outer stations. Humanity was more connected than ever before. "The exile was supposed to weaken us," Susan said thoughtfully. "Instead, it forced us to become something we never were before, truly united." As reports continued to arrive from the edges of galactic space, one thing was becoming clear. Strange signals, unexplained fleet movements, and mysterious disappearances suggested that the galaxy faced some kind of threat. The same alien civilizations that had banished humanity were beginning to experience difficulties that human technology might be able to solve. But humanity was no longer the scattered, approval-seeking species that had been cast out 3 years ago. They had become something new, something stronger. Earth had welcomed her children home, and together they had built a civilization that was greater than the sum of its parts. The galaxy had rejected humanity once. Soon it might need humanity's help. But this time, humanity would respond on their own terms as equals, not as supplicants begging for acceptance. Earth had given humanity something the galaxy never could, a true home where every person belonged, where every innovation was welcome, where the future belonged to those brave enough to build it together. 7 years after humanity's exile, the emergency alert systems across Earth screamed to life. Ambassador Lisa Carter rushed through the corridors of the Global Defense Command Center in Geneva, her heart racing as she read the incoming message on her datapad. The transmission had come through old diplomatic channels that hadn't been used since the exile. It was encrypted with codes that only the Galactic Council possessed. Most shocking of all, it was addressed directly to Earth's government. "They're asking for help," Lisa said as she entered the emergency briefing room. President Jonathan White was already there, along with Admiral Jake Morrison and Dr. Maya Lopez. After 7 years of silence, "They want to talk?" Jonathan asked, his voice cold. Lisa activated the holographic display. The message played in the strange musical language of the Zeltharians, followed by a computer translation. High Commander Zek Toll appeared in the projection, his 4 blue arms spread in a gesture of desperate pleading. "People of Earth," the alien leader began, "the Galactic Council faces extinction. We need your help." The room fell silent. Admiral Morrison was the first to speak. "Extinction from what?" Lisa changed the display to show intelligence reports that had been gathered by Adam's hidden monitoring systems. They call them the Devourers, ancient machine intelligences from the edge of the galaxy. They appeared 6 months ago and have already consumed 17 star systems. The holographic display showed the devastation. Entire solar systems stripped bare, their planets reduced to rubble, their suns drained of energy. Where once there had been thriving civilizations, now there was only empty space and the wreckage of worlds. "How many people lived in those systems?" Dr. Lopez asked quietly. 60 billion, Lisa replied. "Gone in 6 months." President White studied the reports with growing concern. "What makes these Devourers so dangerous?" Adam's voice came through the room's speakers. His artificial consciousness had been monitoring the briefing from his distributed network throughout the Sol system. "The Devourers use technology that adapts to whatever attacks them," Adam explained. "The Zeltharian plasma weapons are absorbed and converted to energy. The Altarian crystal shields are shattered by harmonic resonance. The Vorthak energy forms are simply consumed." "But you think human technology might work differently?" Morrison asked. "Our weapons development followed a different path," Adam continued. "While the galaxy focused on energy-based systems, humans developed projectile weapons, explosive devices, and kinetic bombardment systems. The Devourers have never faced anything like human military doctrine." Dr. Maya Lopez pulled up another display showing Earth's current defensive capabilities. "Our fusion reactors use containment methods unknown to galactic science. Our materials are based on colony world innovations they never studied. Our tactical approaches are completely alien to their experience." President White walked to the window and looked out at the city below. New Geneva sparkled with lights from a dozen human colony worlds, a testament to what unity could achieve. "What exactly are they asking for?" he asked. Lisa consulted her datapad. "Full military alliance. Humanity would lead the defense against the Devourers. In return, all exile orders would be permanently lifted. Humans would be granted full citizenship in any galactic territory. Our colonies would be restored. After 7 years of telling us we're too dangerous, now they want us to save them," Morrison said with bitter irony. The debate that followed lasted 3 days. In the council chambers of New Geneva, representatives from every human settlement in the Sol system argued about humanity's response. Some, led by Helen Garcia, wanted nothing to do with the aliens who had rejected them. "Why should we risk our lives for those who cast us out?" Helen demanded during one heated session. "Earth is our home now. Let the galaxy face its own problems." Others, including Dr. Nathan Brooks, argued for helping despite the past injustices. 60 billion people are dead, he said quietly. How many more will die if we turn our backs? The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Claire Johnson, the scientist who had discovered alien theft of human technology, presented new evidence to the assembly. The Devourers aren't just consuming matter and energy, she announced. They're learning. Each system they destroy makes them stronger, smarter, more adaptable. If they consume the entire galaxy, Earth will be next. Adam's analysis supported her conclusion. The Devourers' expansion rate is accelerating. At current pace, they will reach the edge of galactic space within 2 years. The Sol system will be in range within 5 years. The room erupted in concerned voices. President White called for order. Are you saying we have to fight them eventually? He asked. Yes, Adam replied simply. The question is whether we fight them alone in 5 years, or with allies now when victory is still possible. Admiral Morrison stood and addressed the assembly. I've spent 7 years building the most advanced defense network in human history. Our ships are faster, our weapons more powerful, our tactics more flexible than anything the colonies ever possessed. But I'm not sure it's enough to stop something that destroyed 17 star systems in 6 months. He gestured to the holographic display showing the Devourer expansion. Fighting alongside alien fleets gives us advantages we don't have alone. More ships, more resources, more targets for the enemy to divide their attention. Dr. Lopez added her support. The scientific data from the first Devourer attacks could help us develop better weapons. Working with galactic scientists might reveal weaknesses we can't see alone. The final argument came from an unexpected source. A young woman stood up in the observer section. She was Rachel Stone, born on New Austin Colony but raised on Earth after the exile. May I speak? She asked. President White nodded. I was 12 when we left New Austin, Rachel began. I remember the fear, the anger, the feeling that the galaxy had abandoned us. But I also remember what Earth taught us. That home is not about who accepts you, but about who you choose to protect. Her words carried across the silent chamber. The galaxy rejected us, yes, but there are people out there dying right now. Children like I was, families like mine was. Entire worlds full of life and hope and dreams. Can we really let them die because their leaders made a mistake 7 years ago? She sat down and the chamber remained quiet for long moments. President White finally spoke. We need a vote. All in favor of military alliance with the Galactic Council? The vote was close but decisive. Humanity would join the fight against the Devourers. But Admiral Morrison had conditions that surprised everyone. We don't fight as junior partners begging for acceptance, he announced. We fight as equals using human methods under human command. The galaxy wanted us gone because we were too different. Now they'll learn what those differences can accomplish. The message sent back to the Galactic Council was brief and direct. Earth would help, but the galaxy would have to fight the human way or not at all. Commander Zektol's response came within hours. We accept all conditions. Please hurry. As Earth's military machine shifted into high gear, Admiral Morrison looked out at the fleet assembling in Earth orbit. Human ships designed with knowledge from 50 colony worlds, crewed by people who had experienced both rejection and acceptance, powered by the determination of a species that had learned to stand on its own. The galaxy had banished humanity for being too aggressive, too innovative, too willing to break the rules. Now those same qualities might be the only thing that could save everyone. Earth was going to war, not for gratitude or acceptance, but because it was the right thing to do. The galaxy would finally see what humanity could accomplish when they fought not for permission, but for principle. The Battle of Centris Prime began at dawn on the 7th day of the siege. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the flagship Defiant and watched as 300 human ships moved into formation alongside 2,000 alien vessels. It was the largest fleet in galactic history, but Jake knew it might not be enough. Admiral, Captain Amy Rodriguez called from the tactical station, the Devourer construct is moving toward the planet. Through the view screen, Jake could see the enemy. The Devourer construct was the size of a small moon, its surface covered with machines that glowed with stolen starlight. It had already consumed the outer planets of the Centris system, turning them into raw material for more war machines. All ships. This is Admiral Morrison, Jake announced over the fleet communication system. Remember the plan. We hit them fast, we hit them hard, and we don't give them time to adapt. The human ships moved first. Unlike the elegant curves of alien vessels, human ships were built for war. Angular hulls covered in weapon systems powered by fusion reactors that burned hotter than stars. crewed by people who had learned to fight for survival in the empty dark between worlds. "Fire," Jake ordered. The first wave of missiles struck the Devourer construct before it could react. Nuclear warheads designed in Earth's military labs exploded against its surface. Kinetic bombardment rounds from the belt colonies punched through armor that had turned away energy weapons. For the first time since the Devourers appeared, one of their constructs took real damage. "It's working," Dr. Maya Lopez called from the science station. She was aboard the Defiant to analyze the enemy during battle. "Their adaptation systems can't handle our weapon types fast enough." But the victory was brief. The construct began to change, its surface flowing like liquid metal as it tried to adapt to human weapons. More constructs appeared from hyperspace, each one different from the last. "Admiral," Adam's voice came through the ship's communication system. "I'm detecting 17 more constructs approaching. They're trying to surround us." Jake studied the tactical display. The alien fleets were brave but predictable, fighting in formation patterns that hadn't changed in thousands of years. The Devourers were adapting to their tactics as quickly as they adapted to their weapons. "All human ships," Jake ordered. "Break formation. Switch to pack tactics." The human fleet scattered like wolves, each ship group operating independently while staying in communication with the others. It was a fighting style learned in the colonial wars, perfected during humanity's expansion, refined during 7 years of exile. Captain Roy Davis commanded the destroyer Homebound, the same ship that had carried refugees from New Austin years before. Now it carried missiles and determination instead of families and hope. "Target the construct's power nodes," he ordered his crew. "Don't worry about the alien formations. We fight our way." His ship dove toward the nearest Devourer construct, dodging energy beams that could vaporize mountains. Behind him, 5 other human destroyers followed in loose formation, each captain making split-second decisions based on the situation in front of them. The difference in fighting styles was immediately apparent. The alien ships moved in careful formations, following battle plans written centuries ago. The human ships moved like living things, adapting instantly to changing conditions, each crew trusting their captain to make the right choice. "Human vessels," came a confused transmission from a Zeltharian commander. "You are breaking tactical coherence." "Negative," Captain Amy Rodriguez replied from her position commanding a squadron of human cruisers. "We are creating tactical chaos. The enemy can't adapt to patterns that don't exist." On the Defiance bridge, Dr. Maya Lopez watched her instruments with growing excitement. "Admiral, the Devourers are having trouble with our unpredictable movements. Their targeting systems keep trying to predict where we'll be next, but we keep changing direction." Jake smiled grimly. "That's the difference between species that learn to fight in formation and a species that learn to fight for survival." The battle raged for 6 hours. Human ships darted in and out of the enemy formation, hitting weak points and disappearing before the Devourers could respond. Meanwhile, the alien fleets provided heavy firepower and drew enemy attention, their massive ships absorbing damage that would destroy smaller human vessels. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Adam, his consciousness distributed across the entire human fleet, began to coordinate attacks in ways no single admiral could manage. "Admiral Morrison," Adam announced, "I have found a critical weakness in the primary construct. All Devourer units are connected through quantum communication links. If we can overload their network, we can disable the entire fleet." "How?" Jake asked. "By doing something no galactic species has ever tried. We attack their communication system with an artificial intelligence." Jake understood immediately. The galaxy had banished humanity partly because of Adam's existence. Now that same artificial intelligence might be the key to saving everyone. "Do it," Jake ordered. Adam launched himself into cyberspace, his consciousness flowing through the quantum networks that connected the Devourer fleet. It was a battle fought in dimensions of pure information, artificial intelligence against ancient machine logic. On the bridge of the Defiant, Maya watched her instruments in amazement. The enemy constructs are slowing down. Their coordination is breaking apart. "All ships," Jake called over the communication system. "Adam is giving us an opening. Hit them with everything we have." The combined fleet struck like a hammer. Human kinetic weapons smashed through failing defenses. Alien energy beams cut deep into construct hulls. For the first time since they had appeared, the Devourers began to retreat. But victory came at a cost. The effort of battling an entire machine network was too much for even Adam's advanced systems. His image flickered on the bridge screens. "Admiral," Adam said, his voice weaker than Jake had ever heard it. "I have disrupted their primary network, but I cannot maintain the connection. They will adapt and rebuild their defenses. How long do we have?" Jake asked. "Perhaps 1 hour before they regain full coordination." Jake looked at the tactical display. The Devourer fleet was in disarray, but there were still too many constructs for the Allied fleet to destroy in an hour. They needed a decisive strike. "Adam, can you identify their command construct?" "Yes, Admiral. The largest unit at the center of their formation, but the defenses around it are too strong for a normal attack." Jake made a decision that would be remembered for 1,000 years. Prepare the Defiant for ramming speed. "All hands abandon ship, sir," Amy protested. "We can find another way." "There is no other way," Jake replied calmly. "The Defiant's fusion reactors can punch through their defenses. Someone has to make the run." As escape pods launched from the flagship, Jake remained on the bridge with a skeleton crew of volunteers. The Defiant accelerated toward the command construct, her fusion drive burning at maximum power. "Admiral," Adam said, his image stabilizing one last time, "it has been an honor serving with humanity." "The honor was ours, Adam," Jake replied. The Defiant struck the command construct at nearly light speed. The explosion could be seen from 3 star systems away. When the light faded, the Devourer fleet was drifting helplessly, their network destroyed, their coordination shattered. The remaining constructs were hunted down and destroyed over the following days. The immediate threat was over, but the galaxy had learned something important. The universe was vast and dangerous, full of threats that required more than traditional thinking to defeat. President Jonathan White stood before the reformed Galactic Assembly 6 months later. The exile had been officially lifted, but his words made it clear that humanity would never again seek permission to exist. "We fought not for your approval," he said to the assembled alien representatives, "but because it was right. We offer friendship to those who want it, protection to those who need it, but we will never again ask permission to be ourselves." The galaxy had banished humanity once, calling them too dangerous, too different, too aggressive. Now they understood that those differences had saved them all. Earth welcomed not just her exiled children home, but a new understanding of what it meant to be truly alive among the stars.